A beautiful young lady who is harassed by two respected elderly men who then try to frame her in court. It has been one of the more popular biblical stories among artists, the story of Susanna and the elders. But not everyone may be equally familiar with it, as it is a so-called deuterocanonical book, meaning that the Catholic and Orthodox churches do consider it part of their Bible, while, for example, the Protestants don't acknowledge it as part of their Bible. If interested, I've put a link to the full story in the description box. Let's start exploring the story using this painting from around 1556 by Jacopo Tintoretto. The fair-skinned naked lady is Susanna. She is seated at the edge of a large outdoor bathtub with one leg still in the water. We can see that she is a pretty wealthy lady, looking at the golden bracelets around her wrists. And in front of the mirror we can see several golden rings and a pearl necklace. And her hair is nicely braided. Susanna came from a well-to-do family, good people, and was married to a very rich husband, Joachim. They lived in Babylon and they were righteous people who honored God. Returning to Tintoretto's painting, we can see that she is in a lush garden filled with roses, ponds and a variety of beautiful animals. This is the private garden of her husband, and she liked to take a bath there at midday. She had just asked her two female maidservants, "Please bring me some olive oil and lotion and lock the gate so I can bath." So she thought she was all alone out there, but from the paintings you can clearly see that she is not. Tintoretto includes two elderly men sneakily trying to get a glance of her while she is bathing. But in most other paintings on this subject, like this painting by Peter Paul Rubens from around 1610, the men have already approached her, one lifting the cloth to reveal her body, while the other is already touching her. Susanna is clearly not appreciating this, and she tries to bend away from them. These two men are not just random creeps. They were respected citizens, known as elders. It so happened that Susanna's husband Joachim was the most honored man among the Jews in Babylon, and so whenever there was a problem or lawsuit among them, they would come to the house of Joachim to resolve the issue. The Jews had appointed two elders from among them as judges to rule in the cases presented in Joachim's house. Well, without telling each other about it, the two elders both fell in love with the beautiful Susanna. They were so obsessed with her that they tried to get a glance of her whenever they could. One day, at midday, they said to each other that they were both going back to their own homes for lunch. But a few minutes later, they had both independently returned because they wanted to see Susanna. Seeing each other, they both confessed their real intentions, and they decided to team up to catch her sometime when she was all alone. And that is the scene that you see in most of these paintings, like this beautiful work from 1751 by Pompeo Battoni. When Susanna went for her afternoon bath, the two elders hid themselves in the private garden. So when the servants closed the gate and left the garden, they made their move and approached Susanna. Artemisia Gentileschi, herself a rape victim, clearly captures how disgusted Susanna is by the two elders. The elders told her that the gate was closed and that they wanted to have sex with her. And if she would refuse, they would tell everybody that she had sent her servants away so she could make love to a young man she was secretly meeting. Susanna saw the writing on the wall. If she would give in to them, she would go against God's will. And if she refused, nobody would believe her against the word of these two respected elders. Susanna chose to scream, and one of the elders quickly opened the gate such that when some people arrived, they told the story of how they were just innocently walking through the garden when they found Susanna committing adultery with a young man. They tried to stop and catch him, but the young man was no match for them in strength, and he was able to escape. And that brings us to this scene, a painting from around 1696 by the French artist Antoine Coypel, showing the two elders in the center background. They are accusing Susanna of adultery, just as they had threatened to do. You can see that Susanna is depicted twice in this image, together with her children. There's no room for her to defend herself. All she can do is look desperately up to heaven. And you can see how the surrounding crowd expresses its disapproval in various ways. The judgment is swift. Susanna is sentenced to death. After the sentence, Susanna cried out, "Eternal God, you know what is hidden. You see everything before it happens. You know they've lied in this court about me. Look, I'm going to die, although I didn't do any of the things these men accuse in their malice." Well, God would listen to her, and this is where a familiar biblical character comes into play. It's Daniel, the same one who was put in the lion's den and escaped that. The story of Susanna and the elders is considered to be one of the 3 extra chapters of the book of Daniel, which some religions do recognize as part of the Bible, while others don't. After Susanna's desperate cry, a young man called Daniel stood up and said, "Are you stupid Israelites, that you have sentenced an Israelite woman to death without cross-examining or finding the facts? Go back to court. These men have given false testimony against her." The other elders listened to him and asked him for advice. Daniel said that he would independently ask the 2 elders about what happened, already having understood from God that they were guilty. He asked them under which tree they had seen Susanna having intercourse with a young man, and both mentioned another tree. One was a very big tree, while the other was a small one, proving that their stories had been forged. Everybody agreed that they were the guilty ones, and so it was decided that Susanna was unguilty and that her sentence should be transferred to the 2 elders, as you can see on the right side of this painting from around 1500, painted by an artist known as the Master of Apollo and Daphne. The story of Susanna and the elders is just a single chapter, so it's pretty easy to understand the full story, and it's obviously a pretty spectacular account. But, as you may have noticed in the various artworks in this video, this was not the only reason that artists liked this story. It was a great excuse to paint some nudity under the guise of just accurately capturing this biblical story. I'm not saying that all artists had this intention, but across the various paintings you can see that they put a big effort into capturing her naked body and beauty according to the standards of their day and culture. Well, I hope you found this discussion of the story of Susanna and the elders interesting, and I'm curious if you have any favorite painting on this subject. Just put the timestamp of the painting you like most in the comment section down below. And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons to help this channel. Thanks for watching.